And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can all see it again. There we go. So can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? Everything's good? We hope. Everything's good? We hope. Fingers crossed. Welcome to the Power of Protein. This is a topic that obviously I'm super excited about. I want to thank all of you for sticking around while we went through a couple of technical difficulties, but we're through that now, so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. And today we're talking about protein, and we're going to be talking about a few things that maybe you didn't even know, some myths around protein that a lot of us have been led to believe over the years. And we're going to learn what happens when we don't get enough protein. And then we're going to learn what happens when we are getting enough protein. And then lastly, we're going to learn about how protein actually affects weight loss, especially for those of us that have had weight loss surgery, because it is a little different than the normal population. So that's the synopsis of what we're going to be covering today and what we're going to be learning. Synopsis of what we're going to be covering today and what we're going to be learning. I also love questions. So if you have questions while we're going through this, if you see some of the material and it kind of triggers something and you're curious about it, please do ask in the question area here on the box, and I will try and get to it. If I don't get to it and I didn't hear or I didn't notice the question, just ask again. And then if I miss any of you, feel free to send me an email, melanie@wlfmedical.ca, and I'll do my best to get you the answers. So let's get started. The big question is, what on earth is protein? Protein is simply a large molecule that consists of amino acids. And we need those amino acids in order to fulfill every single cell function in our body. So protein is essentially the primal fuel that we need to survive. And what a lot of people don't realize is we need protein and we actually need fat. We have vitamins that are only fat soluble, so we become deficient if we don't have fat. But the one macronutrient that we don't actually need to function or survive are carbohydrates. And yet we're all led to believe that we need carbohydrates for brain function, that we need carbohydrates for energy. And carbohydrates are great. Carbohydrates for energy. And carbohydrates are great or can be great in terms of providing energy, but they're not actually something that we need. We can survive for long periods of time just fine without carbohydrates, but that is not the case with protein. Protein is a macronutrient. You'll hear me sometimes talk about our macros. Something has great macros or really bad macros. When I'm talking about macros, those are your three major groups, which are protein, fat, and carbohydrate. When I'm talking about micronutrients, those are your vitamins and your minerals. So your magnesium or your vitamin B12, those are all micronutrients. And so when we're chit-chatting about it, that's what we're talking about. One thing we should know about protein is that our bodies cannot actually create protein. So when we're low on protein, the only way is to get it from our food, or as we'll see a little bit later, we actually can cannibalize our own to get it from our food, or as we'll see a little bit later, we actually can cannibalize our own muscles, which is obviously less than ideal. Fat, on the other hand, when it's stored, if our body is able to burn fat, there's no adverse effects from that unless you get down to a 4% body fat level. You just burn fat and it's a great fuel source, just as good a fuel source, and I would argue for those of us that struggle with our weight, preferable fuel source over bringing in more food. What happens when we don't have protein? So when we don't have enough protein, what are the symptoms and what starts to happen to our bodies? Well, the first thing is you start to feel tired. Without the energy to carry out your daily activities, your body starts to break down your own muscles in order to get what it needs. Your organs and your own bones become at risk. You also can suffer from a compromised immune system. Early signs of protein deficiency include muscle loss, fatigue, low sex drive. Signs of protein deficiency include muscle loss, fatigue, low sex drive, depression, anxiety, anemia even are a sign of especially low albumin levels, which is protein. So when you think about protein deficiency, it sounds like an extreme thing, but we know that 1 out of 3 women in North America are actually protein deficient. So 1 out of 3 of us, probably a little bit higher because we're bariatric patients and our protein needs are even higher. And we'll talk about why that is a little bit later. 1 out of 3, and likely 1 out of 2 of those of us on the phone are online today, are protein deficient. Now turn that off. I'm going to try and load up the new one. And I can't. That's okay. So how do you know if you're protein deficient? Well, there's signs, and these are the top 10 signs to show whether you're becoming or whether you are protein deficient. So the number 1 sign to look protein deficient. So the number 1 sign to look out for, and I see this all the time. I'll give you a great example. When I was in the airport the other day, I can't remember which airport I was in, but one of our patients that was from British Columbia saw me in the airport, and so she came over and gave me a hug, and we were chit-chatting, and she was talking about how she's in this stall, and she hasn't been losing weight for a long time, and her cravings have really increased, but she's been trying really hard, and she's been eating these protein bars and protein chips. So I looked at her and I said, is there any chance that the protein bars and the protein chips you're eating are Quest bars? And she was like, yes. How did you know? Well, the fiber in them, and not to mention that they don't have a ton of protein, but the fiber in them is not a true fiber in the sense of 0 calories. And so what happens is it spikes true fiber in the sense of 0 calories. And so what happens is it spikes her blood sugar. She winds up being hungry. She winds up being craving things, and she's filling her body with basically fillers instead of with protein, which increases her hunger. Okay. So Quest and some other products use a product called VitaFiber. So when you're reading the label, you will notice that the label will say, for example, 20 grams of carbohydrates and 19 grams or 18 grams of fiber. Well, that fiber comes from a product called VitaFiber, and VitaFiber has 2 calories per gram. A carbohydrate has 4 calories per gram, and a true fiber like inulin or psyllium, though a true fiber that you would get from your vegetables has 0. Right? Psyllium, though a true fiber that you would get from your vegetables has 0, right? So you're really eating half a carbohydrate when you're eating a lot of Quest. So that's the constant craving that comes from not getting in enough protein. So when you're filling your body full of things that are full of carbohydrates and sugars, and you're not getting enough protein, you actually want more and more and more carbohydrates. So you want more candy, you want more pop, you find yourself craving for things that aren't high in nutrition, you find yourself just thinking about food again. Protein deficiency and unstable blood sugar are really closely linked with not getting enough protein. So then what's the second sign? The second sign of protein deficiency is muscle pain, joint pain, and even swelling. So swelling in your ankles especially, your knees, swelling. So swelling in your ankles especially, your knees, your lower legs are really common when you don't have enough protein. And swelling and sore knees, sore joints. And that's because the joints will stiffen and your muscles will tighten when you don't have enough protein. And when you think about it, your body is cannibalizing your own muscle. If you don't get enough protein, remember, you can't live without it. So it will actually get it from your muscle, and that does not feel good. So that pain doesn't typically respond to standard musculoskeletal care. In other words, if you have a really great massage, it's probably not going to help. You're still going to feel that achy feeling. Protein also helps to hold the salt and water inside your blood vessels. A lot of us don't even think of protein that way, but that's what is one of the primary causes of edema or swelling, is that when you're low on protein, you lose that ability to hold the salt and water inside your blood vessels. Swelling is that when you're low on protein, you lose that ability to hold the salt and water inside your blood vessels, and it leaks out into your interstitial tissue, and you wind up having swollen ankles. So another really good sign that you're low on protein. The next one, which is the big one that I know is a big one for a lot of you guys, is you can't sleep well. So when you start to have not enough protein, you will notice the effect on your sleep. Sleeping through the night requires that your body is tuned to be able to burn fat. If you've been eating a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of sugars, for example, what your body is going to want is to wake up every 2 to 3 hours to eat again. Because guess what? Your carbohydrates can only be stored in your bloodstream for 2 to 3 hours till you use them up. And then you're going to want some more. Your body's going to want some more. When your body is eating a lot of fiber, especially obviously protein, and fiber and healthy fats, then you can sleep for 8 hours without your body triggering you for refueling. And healthy fats, then you can sleep for 8 hours without your body triggering you for refueling, because your body's actually going to burn off fat. So when you get a super good night's sleep, and I always try to get at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, that deep sleep is the time when you're burning fat. So sleep is your fat burning friend, and protein is your friend that helps you sleep. The next sign that you're deficient in protein is low energy, moodiness, anxiety, stress. Those are all exacerbated by not getting in enough protein. So without protein to stabilize your blood sugar, you're going to have exhausting highs. Your blood sugar is going to spike, and then your blood sugar is going to drop down again. And over again, when that happens throughout the day, it's actually exhausting. It's exhausting for your body. And so you're not getting the energy you need when you're not getting that protein that you need. For your body. And so you're not getting the energy you need when you're not getting that protein that you need. So number 5, I just held up 10, I know, I'm sorry. Number 5 is weight gain or extended stalls. So just like the lady in the airport that I was chatting with, absolutely extended stall, something's going on. What is going on to cause the stall? And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be not enough protein, okay? And this is why when we eat too little protein, we lose lean muscle. We lose the actual muscle that causes our metabolism to burn fat and our metabolism to speed up. So the opposite happens, and we start to store more fat, right? It becomes this horrible self-fulfilling prophecy. So there's been lots of really great studies done, and I mean like robust, double-blind, in a metabolic chamber studies done. And one of the really great ones that looked at what happens when we're eating protein showed that 90% of the extra calories that you eat that come from carbohydrate get stored as body fat, whereas just half in a normal protein diet. So in other words, if you're not getting in enough protein, your body is chewing up your own muscle and it's replacing it with fat, if you want to think of it that way. People on a low protein diet, you can think of it as a high carbohydrate diet, low protein diet, lost 1.5 pounds of their own lean muscle mass, while those who were calorie restricted still gained 6 to 7 pounds of muscle, which is what you want because that's going to help you to burn more fat. So the next big sign is hair loss. So protein deficiency sign number 6 is hair loss, thinning, brittle nails. Okay? If you're not getting enough protein, your body will actually shut down the cycle for your hair development. So how many of you after you had will actually shut down the cycle for your hair development? So how many of you after you had surgery in that 2 to 3 months after you had your sleep did you start to lose hair, right? Well, the sooner you can increase your protein intake once you're allowed to, and you get to that magical 90 to, I would say, good 115, 120 grams of protein, the sooner the hair loss will stop. There is a strong, strong relationship between those two. And in fact, if you don't have enough protein, your body will take it from, not only from your muscles, but you actually need protein in order to burn fat. Burning fat actually takes energy, and it needs the energy from either protein or carbohydrate. So if you give it protein, it will actually burn more fat. So the body won't produce the collagen that you even need for your hair and your nails while it won't produce the collagen that you even need for your hair and your nails while it thinks that it's starved of protein and while it's trying to get it from your muscles. So it's super, super important. You want thick, beautiful, awesome hair, and you want great nails, get your protein in. Number 7, protein deficiency sign number 7, you become a total wuss. You become a weakling. I remember after you guys, most of you know that my surgery was 6.5 years ago, and I didn't have any support, and I didn't know what I was doing after I had my surgery. So I really wasn't eating any protein for quite a while, and I had a lot of nausea. And I remember going to the gym, and those of you that know me know I've always been super active, and especially because as a bigger girl, I was always very strong. Get to the gym, and I couldn't lift like 10 pounds on the bench press. Like, I didn't even know what was wrong with me. I was so weak. Pounds on the bench press. Like, I didn't even know what was wrong with me. I was so weak. And I had hired a trainer to try and help me. I wanted to be all ripped and buff and back in shape. And even she was just like, "You are the weakest person I have ever worked with." And I was like, "Oh, that's not good." And that was from not getting in enough protein. It was absolutely from not getting enough protein. Now, when I'm working out at the gym with my husband doing squats, I've literally done squat sets where I've kicked boys' butts here. We'll try again. The next big sign, I'm a little nervous. No one's answering me. Can everyone hear me okay? Did I lose anyone? Oh, good. Okay. So when you don't get enough protein, your muscles aren't actually able to repair themselves after a workout. So strenuous exercise can actually make things worse, because if you're exercising, you try to go and take up a new regimen, or you go to the gym, or you start to do yoga, then you're not actually able to rebuild what you're tearing down when you exercise. So a lot of us don't know this, that when you're exercising, you actually are causing little tears in your muscles. And it's repairing those tears that cause muscle growth or keep your muscles from atrophying. It's really, really important that you put stress on your muscles. So when you don't get enough protein, your body doesn't have the ability to repair that. The next one is number 8, protein deficiency. Sign number 8, you're losing muscle tone that you used to have, and you're becoming soft. And you'll see this sometimes, or I'll see it sometimes with patients where they have pretty good muscle tone. You could tell they were pretty solid even before their surgery, but then after their surgery, they really lose a lot of that muscle mass. And that's because when you're protein deficient, your body's cannibalized those muscles, and you're not able to keep replacing the muscle tissue that you had, so they get smaller and smaller. And then, of course, your body fills that space up with fat, which is what none of us want. So number 9, protein deficiency sign number 9, you're getting injured and you're not recovering quickly. Now, you should get injured, like if you are recovering from surgery, if you're recovering from some sort of injury, it should be really quick. Even if you get like a paper cut, it should be pretty quick that your body repairs itself. I always joke around, with the folks in our office here, or even with my husband, I like to joke and call myself, who's the guy with the claws, the metal claws, the Wolverine. Because I always say I'm like the Wolverine, because if I get sick, boom, it's one day. If I get like a cut, boom, it's healed super fast. And the reason for that is that I get in a lot of protein. So if you find that you're taking longer to heal than you used to, that's probably a sign that you're protein deficient. The next one is protein deficiency number 10. You're catching every cold around and then you stay sick, right? You should be, if you're getting a cold, you should get it and it should be quick and you should be back on your feet. Like obviously there's some colds that are way worse than others, but when it becomes a trend and you find you're getting sick and then you're not getting over your sickness, one of the things to really look closely at is your protein and find out whether your albumin levels are low. Find out, get your blood work done. And if you already know you're not eating your protein, if you already know you're not taking your shakes, then you already probably know that you're protein deficient. Proteins actually are what forms our antibodies. So they're an integral part of your immune system. So it's not just that they create muscles, but their proteins are actually what go in and surround viruses, for example, and pull them back out. So phagocytes, complement proteins, cytokines, all of these lymphocytes, these are all variations of proteins that protect us, that are part of our immune system. So when you don't get enough protein, you actually are hurting your immune system. That's why you're so much more susceptible to every cold that's going around. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, what is a good quality protein? What do I look for in a protein? And are all proteins equal? And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of that. And once again, if you have any questions at all, just ask. Just put them in the little thing and ask. So how do we even know? Is there a way to measure protein quality? Well, it turns out yes, there totally is. So protein quality is how well the essential amino acids, so those are all the amino acids are what form a protein, how well that profile of amino acids matches the requirements of our bodies. And so there's something called the PDCAAS, which is the Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score. There'll be a test on this later. And what it is a method of evaluating the protein quality based on the amino acid requirements of us, of humans that are ingesting it. And here's a little chart. It shows you the amino acid score, and then it also shows you the PDCAAS. And you can see, for example, whey protein has a full score of 1 or 1.4, an egg, casein protein, soy protein, beef protein, and then down at the bottom, wheat gluten. So you get a sense that you can see wheat gluten has a PDCAAS of only 0.25, whereas your whey protein, your whole egg are all 1. Your amino acid score, your whey protein, your whole egg are much higher than, for example, soy protein or beef. High protein foods, your number of grams of protein per 100 calories. So this is a really good way of knowing how much is the protein that I'm eating, how much is the food that I'm eating going to help me with my protein. So for example, whey protein isolate is 24 grams per 100 calories, and chicken and beef are both in the 18 grams per calories. Now, if you're eating, the majority of your food comes from Greek yogurt, turkey breast, chicken breast, you're getting in tuna, you're getting in salmon, and you're supplementing with, you're doing awesome. Your protein profile is going to look amazing. What a lot of people think is that protein that comes from plants is just as good as the protein that keeps cutting out here. I'm going to show you exactly why that's a myth. It keeps cutting out here. I'm going to show you exactly why that's a myth. So quinoa, in order to get 30 grams of protein through quinoa, which we hear over and over again is such a great source of protein, which I'm showing you it's not, you would need to eat 3 3/4 cups of quinoa. Well, as sleevers, that's out. We're just never going to be able to do that. but it would also take 836 calories of quinoa. Now, if I were to ask you what's going to have more calories, quinoa or bacon, you're all going to think bacon. But to get 30 grams of protein out of bacon, you would only eat 440 calories. You can see 30 grams out of eggs, you'd eat 5 eggs, 390 calories. And then a good protein supplement like ours, you'd be at about 185 calories. Software. One of the things that you'll see a lot on the internet when you're looking for good sources of protein is the idea that these vegetable sources are just as good. Vegetables are great because they're high in nutrients and they're high like kale, spinach, non-starchy vegetables should be a core part of what you're eating every day, but they shouldn't be what you're eating in order to get protein. It's a ridiculous idea, absolutely ridiculous. I can't emphasize it enough. If you had a protein supplement with whey protein in it, out of 100 grams, 80 to 85% of that will be protein. If you're trying to get your protein from lima beans, 7 grams per 100 grams. It's multiples richer to have your protein come from fish and real food and meat and whey protein than it is to try and get it from things like green peas and spinach and these things that people are trying to promote as being high in protein. From people that are vegetarians, and I have no problem with vegetarians. From people that are vegetarians, and I have no problem with vegetarianism. Whey protein, as long as you're getting your protein from a good whey protein source. The idea, my goodness, calories of broccoli, the idea that 100 calories and 100 calories of 11 grams of protein and 5.4 grams of protein is the most ridiculous, outrageous, is the most ridiculous, outrageous. These things that you see on the internet or that you see on Facebook talking about protein sources from vegetables, talking about protein sources from vegetables being are not powerful protein sources. 100 grams of broccoli has 100 grams of broccoli grams of protein. 100 grams of steak is 34 grams. That's 100 grams of steak is 34 grams. That's 12 times more protein. It is totally not even a reasonable thing. It is totally not even a reasonable thing. This idea that you can get your protein. This idea that you can get your green leafy vegetables from it is insanity. Leafy vegetables. There's no other word for it. Insanity. Patients have no other word for it. And if you're eating that much broccoli, if you're eating that much broccoli, you're going to be protein deficient, especially as a sleeper. It's critically important. Critically important that you get your protein in. Protein boosts the immune system. It increases fat loss, it reduces your hunger and cravings, it promotes healthy insulin regulation, which prevents you from storing fat, promotes rapid healing, it improves your brain function, it builds stronger bones and stronger muscles, it improves the effectiveness of your exercise, just like with me. It lowers bad cholesterol, it reduces high blood pressure, it reduces hair loss after bariatric surgery, it helps prevent and manage diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and it fights cancer and chronic disease. So all of those things come from protein. And if I showed you the flip side of what comes from sugar, it would be like the opposite of all of that. Sugar is not good for you. So did you guys notice that the health benefits of whey protein were actually known as early as 420 BC? Hippocrates, the father of medicine, recommended whey protein to his own patients. There's actually 10 essential amino acids that your body needs because it can't produce it, and those are all found in a high-quality protein. Your body cannot store protein. That's why you need to eat protein regularly throughout the day. So it can't store it like it can glucose or fat. Spreading protein throughout the day has all sorts of positive effects, which we're going to show you. And then we're going to get into some of the protein. Well, I don't look like a bodybuilder. at all, and I still have like my womanly curves, and I eat a lot of protein. It's not going to make you look like a muscly guy, and it's going to give you nice, healthy muscle tone. Protein is not hard on your kidneys, and we'll cover a little bit about that. And only men or athletes need protein supplements. That's also a big myth. I wanted to throw this slide in because I wanted to show you as well that some of the things that we've been told to eat that are high in fiber, for example, whole wheat bread, are actually really low in fiber. 1.9 grams in whole wheat bread compared to, for example, oh, I'm sorry, Jean. We are going to send out the recording. I'm just going to. I'm so sorry it's not working great for you guys. I wish it was. So protein myths that need to go away. This is time for these protein myths to go and die and be done. So does protein leach calcium from your bones and cause osteoporosis? No, 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 and no. In fact, every study done on people who take in lots of protein shows stronger bones, not weaker bones. And in fact, it does not leach any calcium from your bones at all. It actually increases hormones like IGF-1 that have been shown to increase bone strength. So the next big myth is, does protein cause kidney damage? Also, no, there's not been one single study ever done showing a harmful effect on people who don't have kidney disease. That myth came from people who already had kidneys that were not functioning. And of course, protein is harder to break down, which is a good thing for most people, but for someone with advanced kidney disease, can be even more strenuous on their kidneys, but they have way bigger problems to worry about than that. So no, even bodybuilders have healthy kidneys and they eat way more protein than we ever will. The two biggest factors for developing kidney failure are diabetes and high blood pressure, and both of those are made better by having lots of protein in your diet. So lots and lots of protein are a good thing. The next one is, can I eat way too much protein? Well, yeah, you can, because you can eat way too much of anything. So, but not necessarily in itself. So just like you can eat too much water, you can take in too much carbohydrate, obviously, even a small amount can be too much. And you can take in too much of anything, even green leafy vegetables, you can have a buildup of toxins. So leafy vegetables, you can have a buildup of toxins. So it's everything in somewhat moderation, but what we've been taught as moderation is not right. So can you eat too much protein? Kind of, yeah, but it would be extremely difficult. And as a sleever, I would say impossible for you to eat too much protein. As a sleever, your biggest challenge is going to be getting in enough protein. I can't even tell you how many people, when we've asked them to track, they're sure that they're getting in 70 to 100 grams of protein. And for sure, Sharon, we will. And then it turns out they're not. They're getting in 20 to 30 grams of protein a day. Way less than they thought. Way, way less than they thought. So protein and weight loss. What is the exact connection? How does it really work? Well, it turns out there's a few ways that protein and weight loss help. It makes you feel full and satisfied. Protein helps you feel fuller than any other nutrient. Any other nutrient. And it's not one or two studies. It's hundreds and hundreds of studies that have shown this. Protein slows down your digestion. It makes you feel more satisfied. It makes you feel full. You're much less likely to go back for seconds or for extra helpings. You're less likely to graze. And over the course of several days, your actual overall calorie savings can help with weight loss. And that's one of the reasons why every study done, or almost every study done, has shown an advantage for low carbohydrate. Every study done has shown an advantage for low carbohydrate diets. Now, they all don't lose very much, all the different diets, but the ones that do the nutrients that you need. the nutrients that you need. So how protein helps with weight loss, it also curbs the highs and the lows from carbohydrates. Oh, can you hear me now? For sure. Oh. So the next thing that it does is it doesn't spike blood sugar like carbohydrates do. So even if you pair protein, eating your carbohydrate, but you make sure you pair protein with it, it will actually help builders are really familiar with this. Builders are really familiar with this. Thermic TEF for the food. In other words, certain food. In other words, we digest more into smaller absorbable components. And some foods we absorb, and some foods we like sugar instantly. Protein like sugar is actually hard to process. Is actually higher thermic effect. Higher thermic effect. A lower thermic effect would be something like when you eat a Kit Kat bar. When you eat a Kit Kat bar, to your intestine, it gets to your intestine as energy. Absorbed as energy. And then if you don't use all that energy right away, it turns around and gets stored as fat. It turns around and gets stored as fat. You actually, on the other hand, about 30% of the calories, about 30% of the calories in order to use it, in order to break it down into its constituencies, so that you can use it for energy. So that you can use it for energy. One of the better things about protein. One of the great things is that not only does it make you feel fuller, not only does it make your body has to really work, but your body has to really work to get the protein out of your food. So how protein helps with weight loss? It actually fuels fat burning. So you have an your absorption with your insulin comes, and then when your body is burning things like glucose, for example, your insulin spikes, and then that glucose. When your body is bringing in protein, instead of your insulin rising, a lot less insulin has to be released, and then your body stores much less as fat, and it uses up that protein, which is what I just said. Having adequate protein fuels fat burning while preserving calorie burning lean muscle, and that's really what you want. You want to burn the fat, you want to keep the muscle, right? And no one's better at that than bodybuilders. It's almost magical how they're able to do that. And they really all do it with a very high protein diet. Now, we don't want to go with the bodybuilding route, but we definitely want to be able to apply some of the lessons from them for ourselves. So protein also promotes muscle repair and growth. And in fact, consuming whey protein in combination with resistance exercise boosts, it speeds up how of all of the slides that we're covering today, this is of all of the slides that we're covering today, this is probably one of the most important for bariatric patients. Higher as you're losing weight than they are if you were not as you're losing weight than they are if you were not losing weight. Your body actually needs that protein in order to burn that fat. Your body actually needs that protein. So your muscles need to repair faster. So your muscles need to be able to speed up your metabolism, not slow it down. To be able to speed up your metabolism, not slow it down. So it's really important that you get in adequate, a lot more than most of us think, protein, while we're trying to lose weight. A lot more than most of us think. So here's some additional protein tips. People who balance their protein throughout the day. So in other words, not the ones who have a shake in the morning and then they don't eat anything at lunch and then they don't have anything till, and then they have junk for supper and then maybe protein again in the evening. No, what you want to do is have consistent amounts of protein throughout the day. You will lose much more weight and it's much easier to keep that weight off. People who ate 30 grams of protein at breakfast, at lunch, and then again at dinner had more protein synthesis than those that ate it at 1 or 2 sittings. So super important to remember. The greatest benefit of eating protein is the 3 meals a day. 30 grams also kept the triglycerides and blood pressure low, which helps boost your overall health. And having 30 grams at each meal increased your fullness significantly longer. High protein diets reduced obsessive thoughts about food by 60%. And protein can reduce the desire for late night snacking by 50%. And I can tell you in my case, that is so true. That's why I keep the protein treats handy. That's why we've been filming all the protein treats episodes for you guys, because when you have protein treats handy, you're going to reach for those instead of reaching for the junk. And if you're having those in the evening, you're going to sleep really well and you're going to feel really well. Adding protein to your diet is a great way to crowd out the bad choices. Instead of having to feel like you have to have willpower and you have to do everything right all the time, keep your protein choices nearby so you don't really have to think about it. And when you're getting in the protein, you're not craving the other stuff. And naturally, you will eat about, on average, 440 fewer calories a day just by getting in high protein. So 1, 2, 3 steps to remember. Boop, 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 boop. 1, cut out the sugar. Cut out the sugar. 2, eat more protein. And 3, just get active and do something fun. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to do way better if you're worried about breaking a stall. I'm going to give you some more tips, 7 extra tips. Drink more fluids. Studies have shown that drinking water an hour to 45 minutes before a meal will help you eat less during that meal and lose 44% more weight. And coffee and tea are good choices if you're not, on your immediate post-op, or if they're caffeine free. You can boost your metabolism and help your body use its fat reserves for fuel when you're a little bit further out. Always make sure you take your vitamins and your probiotics. Having deficiencies like magnesium or B12, those can cause weight gain. Eat a high protein breakfast. Start your day out with eating a high protein breakfast. Eat tons of fiber. Increase your fiber. Almost all of us have too little fiber. The average woman in North America eats, in Canada, 14 grams of fiber, and we need more than double that, 40 to 50, in order to even lose weight. Choose weight loss friendly foods. So watch protein treats, look up recipes in Bitsy.com in your patient account for ideas. Use smaller plates. If you eat with a smaller fork and a smaller plate, multiple studies have shown you will actually feel fuller and you will eat less when you're using a smaller one. And then, of course, sleep. Sleep is the biggest thing. It is the strongest risk factor for weight gain. Absolutely. There's no other thing that you can do. It's even more powerful than exercise, is sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping, get a good sleep hygiene regimen going. Make your bedroom your oasis. I don't care. Get new bedding, get pretty curtains, do whatever you need to make it your little safe oasis so that when you go to bed at night, you can close your eyes and go to sleep. I want to show you, we're pretty excited. You guys have been asking for a long time, what kind of protein should we be taking? For me and my household, it's been really difficult because my little guy has a severe nut allergy. A lot of you guys know that. So we were looking for something that was nut-free. Also, I'm lactose intolerant, so it needed to be lactose-free. And we wanted something that was really high in fiber. So we've developed with a local Canadian lab. Everything is all natural. We don't have a bunch of additives in it. There's no artificial flavorings. Everything is exactly what I wanted to be able to feed my family. So we're pretty excited about this. There's 30 grams of the highest quality whey protein. And there's also 10 grams of fiber, inulin fiber from the chicory root. And that's literally where it comes from. It is amazing. It makes you feel super, super full. You can, as a WLF patient, you automatically get a free membership. So you get it at a big discount. If you're interested in doing it as a side business, whether you just want to earn a little bit of money or you want to be able to do this as something that could be full-time, there's the opportunity for you to do that as well. So you can talk to your coach about it if it's something you want to do. But you don't have to. You can just use the product as you want. It's pretty cool. What we're going to be doing is having tasting parties so that you can come and actually try it out. So we're going to be launching those over the next few weeks, and you're going to be able to come out, hang out with us. We're going to bake a few things with it, and we can try drinking it. can try the protein coffee, which is just like the most unbelievable thing, and just enjoy it. We're going to have some fun together, and I'm really excited to actually have some protein products that are made for bariatric patients by bariatric patients that actually having them what we need. And they're so good that all of my husband's bodybuilding friends are clamoring for it because they've been taking psyllium fiber and benefiber with their protein supplements and having to take them, and now they can do it all together. Actually, I could show you the little chart, but it winds up being per serving, which you can do as a meal replacement. It's less than a coffee at Tim Hortons. It's like $2. Works out to be about $2 a serving. Cheaper than the PGX. It's cheaper than the stuff at Costco. It's like, I don't know, a third of the cost of Shakeology. It's we've done it so that we want it to be affordable for people. And then we've actually created a really neat little program called the 3 for 3. So if 3 of your friends sign up and go on auto ship, then you always would get your product for free as long as they stay on auto ship. So we wanted it to be a way for people to be able to get their own product for free. We're going to be having it October 30th. It'll be our launch, and we're going to be taking pre-orders pretty quickly. The pre-orders will lock you in for a price guarantee for the first year. So if you're able to get the pre-order, but we only have our first production run isn't going to be enough. So we're only going to be able to take about 100 pre-orders, and then from there, everyone else will have to wait a little bit. So, oh, the coffee's amazing. Like, you guys have no idea how good the coffee is. It's made with 100% Colombian coffee, so it's amazing. So you mix it just like you do, and we've done what we call ultra micronized, which means that the actual protein we've milled to be extra fine, so that in your cup when you shake it, it shakes out beautifully. There's no clumps. There's none of that gross, that flavor. So it's from how we mill it. And then when you shake it with your coffee in the morning, you just pop it in your coffee cup, put it in the microwave for 45 seconds, and then out you go, and you've got an amazing coffee latte. And yes, it has caffeine in it, so it's totally not appropriate for the first couple of weeks out, first 4 weeks after surgery. But after that, hey, a little bit of caffeine is a fat burner. So I'm super excited. I'll show you guys. I'll flip back to the other screen. Just again, we've got a whole bunch of really cool flavor packs so that you can take your pack and you can shake flavor pack. Again, we've got a whole bunch of really cool flavor packs so that you can take your pack and you take your shake, and when you run out flavor packs in your purse, keep your little flavor packs in your purse, shake, and off you go. And what's so great about it is, and you have a vanilla shake, and you guys have all done this, and you have a chocolate shake, you wind up with the 2 flavors, and then you get bored of it, and so you go to the store and you buy like cookies and cream, and then you have a giant tub of cookies and cream that sits there, and it takes like 6 months to get through it. So I thought, I don't want that for me, and I don't want it for my patients. So what we developed are these flavor pack things, so that every shake, if you have a chocolate shake, you can make it a chocolate mint, or you can make it a chocolate banana, or you can make it a chocolate mocha, or you could make it chocolate chai. So that's what we're wanting, so that every little flavor pack has a different flavor, and you just dump it right in as you go, and it changes so that you're having, like, instead of a vanilla milkshake, you're having a creamsicle or chocolate raspberry. So we're pretty excited about it. Does anybody have any questions? It is. We're super pumped. Like I said, it works out to be about $2. I think it's about $2.18, $2.20 a serving. So there's 30 servings in each one with 30 grams per serving. So it's super affordable. It's less than proteins at Costco. Way less. For members, it's more expensive if you're not a patient. So when we do sell it to people who aren't WLF patients, then it will be more. So the flavor packets are just, they're different flavors like orange or raspberry or mint or chai, and they're little. And so you put them in your purse, and then when you mix up your shakes in the morning, you mix them up with the actual vanilla and chocolate, and then that gives you like chocolate raspberry or vanilla chai, or the vanilla and orange makes creamsicle. So it gives you a ton of variations without you having to fill your cupboard up with a bunch of different bulky flavors. Yeah, pretty excited. Yes, there's vitamins coming, and same thing, the vitamins are full of what us sleevers need. So we've got lots of magnesium and leucine and vitamins and minerals that are really great for helping retain muscle, that will work well with your protein. They have more in them, and because they're licensed by Health Canada, we're in the last phase of our licensing with Health Canada, so everything has been reviewed and we have our Health Canada designation. So what that means is that when a protein, or in our case a multivitamin, is actually made in Canada, you have quality control. So Health Canada actually governs. You have to be able to prove that what you're claiming on the outside of the bottle is what's in the bottle. So vitamins that are made in the US and even more so in Mexico, unfortunately, don't have that level of scrutiny that we're lucky enough to have in supplements in Canada. So all of our supplements, all of our multivitamins are licensed by Health Canada. So it's been a little bit longer process to get them out. That's part of why, but the quality is there. And in fact, I've been to the labs many, many times, and we've gone back and forth many, many times about everything that's in them. And the biggest, most important thing to me was that everything needed to be the quality that I wanted to give, not just me, but my own kids and you guys. So I can't wait for you guys to taste test too. We're calling them home tasting parties. And we wanted a way for you to be able to actually all come out and have some fun together and try them out with your coaches and make all sorts of fun stuff. So we're going to be rolling those out in the next few weeks. You're going to see invitations coming for the tasting parties, and then of course I think we've got 200 people so far, more than 200 signed up for the pre-order, but we only have 100 pre-orders. So you will be getting an email for being able to pre-order. And so if you do, just remember that we've got more people signed up than there are spots available for that. So, and free returns. So absolutely no questions asked. If you hate it, which you won't, I'm telling you, you will love it. My mom was just here. My mom popped in and I gave her the chocolate and she loved it. So she's not a protein. Trust me, this is an apple pie lady. And she absolutely loved it. She was like, it tastes like chocolate milk. She was so excited. So yeah, it tastes really good. Our kids love it. In fact, this morning, I put some of the natural baking into my daughter's, into the kids' eggs when I made them their scrambled eggs this morning. And my oldest daughter looked at me all suspicious about halfway through breakfast, and she's like, Mom, did you put something in these eggs? And I was like, yeah. She's like, did you put that protein in the egg? She's like, I can't finish my breakfast. I'm full. She was like, so she had it all figured out, but none of the kids could finish their eggs this morning because it has that nice mix of the protein, flaxseed for the omega-3 oils, and then also the fiber from the chicory root. So the combination makes you feel incredibly full, and you really don't think about food. And that's what we wanted. We wanted something that wouldn't just give you the protein, but would give you the fiber to make you feel full. Can't wait. Can't wait, you guys. Well, we're going to definitely have to send the recording out because I know we had some challenges here with the internet and with our OnSync software, which was a little bit frustrating. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this. I know it was really hard. I know it was a pain, but you guys were troopers, so I really, really appreciate it. I see couple people typing. I see with a couple questions, but I want to thank you all for an awesome night. And then, too, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask your coach. Your coach will know, too. So, and we'll be sending out lots of emails. Thanks, guys. It's so true. It's so true. You need to be getting in at least 100 grams of protein. So 30, 30, 30 plus something, plus extra that you're having at night. So, yeah, it makes a huge difference. Huge. So we'll all get our protein in, get our muscles. Everybody have a great night.